Here we go again. I know you guys like sitting around the tailgate telling stories with good buddies, cracking cold ones. No matter if it's hunting season or fishing season, well, so does the Outdoor Drive podcast. So we're going to bring you Tales from the Tailgate. All right, guys, drop the tailgate again. Let's kick this one off. This is your boy East Coast Trev, and I'm joined with my good buddy, Mr. Man Marty.
What up?
What's up, man? And we got our good buddy, Mr. Josh Stubbs, on the line. What's going on, Josh?
Just having fun, man. Chasing turkeys.
I'm surprised you're not sleeping over there the way that you're grinding throughout turkey season.
There is no time to sleep right now, man. There's just no time.
It's spring, right? And they're gobbling and chasing around the tail like they should be.
Absolutely. Well,
man, why don't you tell everybody who you are, where you're from, and a little bit about what you do?
Yeah, I'm Josh Stubbs from Elevate Stand Company from South Central Kansas, and basically help run a tree stand company and chase turkeys in the spring and chase big whitetails in the fall. So
I don't think it gets better than that, man.
It does not.
You guys came out with a vengeance, though, too. That's the other thing. Like, killing big whitetails. Now you're on this turkey tour, which you did last year, too. And then now you're just back at it. Started and kicked off in Florida and then Alabama, Kansas. I mean, you guys are doing big things now.
Yep. And we did go into Mississippi for a little bit. It was just kind of a bonus hunt. We weren't there very long. We did not kill a bird. In fact, we only heard 3 gobbles in 2 days. So we kicked back to Alabama pretty quick. But the Florida hunt had been planned, basically since the the previous year. I knew I wanted to go back. And Andrew Giles, a buddy of mine that I went with the previous year, we both booked with the Muddy Bottom Outfitters. And we left on a Tuesday, or I left on a Tuesday. I drove from Kansas because I had to pick up my bird that was finished from the previous year. So I just drove down. But to rewind just a little bit, I was in South Dakota on a pheasant hunt the previous week, got home, and then I didn't even go home. Went to a show in Wisconsin. So went from South Dakota to Wisconsin. We went and visited Chris Ham at HHA sites. Awesome facility, just really cool, the sites that they make. And then we drove home, got home probably around 10 o'clock Monday night. I left at 2 o'clock in the afternoon to head for Florida, picked up my buddy in Illinois. I slept in the truck just a little bit because I ran out of gas. And so I just pulled over the side of the road and slept a little bit and then got back up, met him in Illinois at 7 a.m. And then we got down to Florida. Oh, man, I think it was close to midnight. No one was awake down there. They told us, what rooms to go to sleep in. And then, it was up at, 4:30 in the morning. So, and just like that, we were on turkeys in Florida. Tons of gobbles, which was not what I was expecting. My previous year, heard hardly any gobbles. That first morning, I don't know, man, there was probably a good 8 to 10 gobblers, I think, something like that. Just gobbling all around us. But I was wanting to shoot the bird with a bow, so it kind of limited us the first day and a half to where we would set up. We were trying to make it to where I could stay hidden. But none of the birds even came close. You could tell they were henned up. And so day 1 ended without us getting anything. And they feed you very, very well down there. I will add that. And so day 2 comes, we set up in the morning again. I really would like to shoot with the bow, but I wouldn't call myself a purist. as far as, on turkeys. I really did want to get a slam with my bow, and hopefully that'll happen at some point. But I also love shooting them with shotguns. I mean, that's just what I grew up doing. I love the finality of a shotgun, especially, if they're within 45, even within 65, that the guns and the ammo that we shoot today, I mean, they're pretty lethal. But so the morning comes and goes, and it realized that these birds are going to be a little bit harder to get in. And I switch over to the shotgun. We hear some gobbles, but it's like deep in the woods, and it's just really deep, or not deep, really. There's a ton of trees and a lot of brush, and I'm like, there's no way to. I mean, you could maybe, but I knew my best chance was with a shotgun, so I took my shotgun. Well, the funny thing is, we ended up calling these birds in. We get everything on video, and we moved on them a couple times, and they were starting to come where it would have been like a 3-yard shot. Well, we call them to them again. They end up coming out in the open, and he's like 18 yards, and it would have been a perfect bow shot. There was a little bit of a clearing, and he was right out in the open, and I could see them coming. I mean, that would have been a perfect time for me to draw 18 yards. I mean, that's, done deal, but it didn't happen, and shot him with shotgun. So, doesn't it always work that way? You think it's going to be some tricky shot, and then it's like one of the easier shots I've had. And the footage we got was just, phenomenal. The sun is, shining on their feathers, and they just, light up like a Christmas tree. I mean, it's really awesome. So we get that bird, we go out later that night or that afternoon, and we don't kill anything, because now Andrew's up. And I should rewind just a little bit. We flipped for that bird. We flipped for who was going to get to kill that bird. And I will say that as of right now, I'm 4-0 on opportunities as far as flipping. I've won every one in this season so far. So. And believe me, I've kept that penny. I have that penny.
What's the go-to call? Is it heads or tails?
I let them pick.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because I don't want them saying, "Oh, you picked, you got it."
Double-headed penny.
I've let them pick every time, and every time they've picked the wrong one.
So they got nothing to be mad about.
I guess they're just bad pickers.
No greed on his part.
Yeah. But so next morning, we get up early again, and we're with Sean, which is, he's a great dude, by the way, and that. But we get on a bird first thing in the morning, and it really just came down that we set up in the wrong spot. I guess you could call it the wrong spot. It wasn't where the turkey wanted to be. That was the first time that he had hunted that property. Obviously, it was the first time that we had hunted that property. And sometimes you just pick the wrong spot. Sometimes you think you're in the right spot, and you think you're going to get going to be able to pull them that way. And it just didn't work out. And then Chris called and said, "Hey, we've got some turkeys on this other property." And so Chris actually guided Andrew on that one. I stayed behind. We wanted to make sure Andrew got one. Obviously, the more bodies you add, and I'm carrying a camera, your chances of killing a turkey, especially ones that are more out in the open, just becomes a little bit harder. So I stayed behind, so we didn't get that one on film. But Andrew, obviously he was pretty happy. That was his first Osceola. And so he's going to try to do his first slam this year. So, but yeah, all in all, I mean, it was an awesome time. Those guys are great food, great people. And then did you want me to tell a story about?
Yeah, you might as well. Yeah, okay. Keep going with good turkey stories.
Yeah. Okay. So Jared and I were invited to hang out with Williams Knife Company and John Casimus, which I don't know if you guys know who John Casimus is, but he tried to, well, I think he did set the record for the quickest slam. I think I'm sure someone's going to fact check me, but I think he did it around 41 hours or something like that.
What?
I'm not sure the exact hour or time. It was fast either way. But before I got to meet him, I'd seen him do that. I'm like, and a buddy of mine, Andrew, it's like, we should try to break that record. And then it's funny thinking that we're going to, meet that guy later in the week. Well, we couldn't, his schedule didn't allow it for us to get there till April 6th. Well, we were done with our hunt April 1st in Florida. So you've got, 5 days with nothing to do. So we went to Mississippi. Andrew had a buddy that lives there, and we tried to hunt turkeys, and we just couldn't find the gobblers. I mean, we heard one gobbler, but you could tell he was definitely interested in going the different direction. Thick, heavy timber. The property was owned by a paper mill, and it definitely needed to be burned just to get some of the brush cleared out. We did run into like a copperhead, cottonmouth, something like that. Yeah, that was Andrew did not like that one bit. I don't mind snakes, but Mississippi it was pretty. It was the weather was nice. Had a crazy experience with a coyote. We had 2 decoys out in front of us, and I see this rabbit running down the trail towards us, and then all of a sudden there's a coyote hot on his tail. Well, I was taking pictures, and I was trying to switch over to video. My shotgun's laying right there to my left, and I don't get record hit. I'm just like, screw it, I'm going to try to shoot him, and he darted into the brush. I did try to get him with the saddies. I missed. I mean, he ducked in into the timber just as I was raising my gun up, and I just tried to shoot through it, and he kept on running. But and he was like 10 yards away. So, I mean, it would have put a hole in him. So Andrew had to go back to Illinois. And so on Sunday, I went to church that morning. Then I headed to Alabama and met up with a buddy, Nick. And he works for Williams Knife Company. And him and his buddy, who was getting deployed, I think in the Navy, they had already got 4 birds on the ground. And it's like, dang, boys, save some for us.
Yeah, right? We're coming.
Exactly. And so we hunt, let's see, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Jared flew in Tuesday, so we kind of lost half of a day. We had to go get him from Montgomery, Alabama. Get back, we get up Wednesday morning. I split. I'm trying, obviously, if you split up, your chances are greater of getting some birds. And he went with Nick, and I knew there were some gobblers in there because I'd scouted that the day before, and there were strut marks all over the place along the roads. Well, I went to another property that I'd gotten permission on. I knew that the turkeys were probably not roosting on that spot, but we had seen some close, and so I was just hoping maybe I could pull some over. Well, I that morning I didn't even hear a gobble, and then Jared texts me, and it's around 7:30, and he's like, "Hey, call me." Well, I mean, I know right away that he's killed a bird, and so I call him. And he's like, "Hey, you need to get over here. I got my bird, but there's gobblers all over." And so it takes me a minute to get over there and get back to where they're at. About an hour goes, so it's 8:30. 9:00, we strike up another gobbler, and we try to do everything that we can. And this is like in a bottom, and so there's like water everywhere. And I just don't think the gobbler wanted to come through all of that stuff. And so it's like 10:15, and we realize this gobbler is probably not going to move. And we looked at Onyx, and it looked like he was in a good sized clearing where it's like, okay, he's gobbling every time we call, but he's probably just up there strutting, hanging out, like waiting for the hens to come to him. And so we put a sneak. It was pretty nasty, but I mean, we're crawling through water on our hands and knees, and we get up there and we hear him. We're like, man, we need to hear him gobble one more time. And he gobbled one more time. And so we knew, just almost exactly where he was. And so we got to this last big tree, and there was a bunch of brush in front, and Nick raised up behind me, and he could see the gobbler. The gobbler was in full strut when he kind of peeked up. I think, he caught the gobbler's eye at that point, because he's like, dude, he's right there. He's right there. He's right there. And I can't see him. So I stand up a little bit, and that turkey, raises his head way up. And I don't even remember putting the bead on his head. I just remember pointing and shooting, and it just leveled him. I mean, it smoked him. So obviously, I mean, I was pretty excited, hooping and hollering, because that was, let's see, Sunday, Monday, that was 5 days, almost 5 days in a row that we'd hunted, hadn't really had anything work us or work for us. So that was one of the highlights of the trip for me. And obviously the Osceola was, but how hard we worked for that bird in Alabama, it was pretty awesome when it all came together. And then we went to that John Casimus, and he's got it's called Sawtooth Plantation, and it's 1,200 acres under one fence. And he raises deer in there. He has some wild ones, that were in there, when the fence was created, but he's just got a fabulous place. But he doesn't really allow turkey hunting on it. I think they maybe take one or two birds off there a year, and we were not those guys that were going to take one of those.
You should have flipped a coin for it.
Yeah. But he's just he's a great guy, phenomenal chef. He's got, his family was in the restaurant business, and he, big ordeal, but they've got the restaurant back. And, we ate like kings. So it really, after, being gone since the previous Tuesday, I mean, it was probably about time that we rested a little bit. So we just kind of kicked it with everybody and shot some content for Mossy Oak. We've, got those stands coming out that are going to be dipped in Mossy Oak. And so we've got a bunch of that content taken. So, but yeah, so as we got home at Saturday, I'll make sure Jared listens to this podcast, because I switched over, and he's driving. I'm going to take a nap. And I knew about, it was showing on the map like 12:10 that's when like midnight is when we were going to get home to Kansas. So I wake up and I watch a little bit of a movie, and then I'm like, I'll just see how close we are. And I click on Google Maps, and it shows that we're not arriving till 1:40 in the morning. And I'm like, Jared, what are you doing? We were going the wrong way. We were driving northeast when we should have been driving west. So we went a lot farther north than we were supposed to. So
what's his GPS doing? Just saying reroute?
Well, he was watching a movie on his, and he's like, well, it never popped up to show that I was supposed to turn. And I'm like,
good thing you woke up.
The driver has one job. It's to make sure the occupants get there safe and to make sure you're going the right way. We can laugh about it now. I was not laughing about it at the time.
What movie was he watching?
I don't know. It wasn't worth it. I promise you that.
That's what you get for falling asleep, I guess, right, Josh?
Man, I tell you what. Like I said, we can laugh about it now. I wasn't laughing. I lost my temper a little bit, but that's
we have one rule when you're driving. The co-pilot they're the ones that they have to stay awake, A, and B, they have to be following the GPS at all times. And I'm always the one in the passenger seat, and it never ends well because we constantly miss exits, go the wrong direction. So I get the pain.
Yeah. Yes.
Steve gets mad at me all the time when we're in the truck.
He's on every phone app there is except for GPS. Instagram, Snapchat, Facebook, TikTok. Yep. What about the GPS, bud?
Yep.
But that's you know what though? That's the best thing about road trips is the camaraderie and the mishaps and the laughs and all that stuff. You know.
Yep. The good thing is we did get home in time to attend Easter service at church. I was a little tired, I will say that. But then we had family over for Easter and just had a good time, and then we were right back at it this morning. It's youth season here in Kansas. Adults starts on Wednesday, so we didn't know if we had turkeys roosting on one of our properties or not. We thought they probably would be, but it was worth a shot. There was no way we could get away on Sunday to roost them. But so we're driving by the spot, and Jared's trying to glass in the trees, and he sees one. So we turn back around and get over. And as soon as we're out of the truck, we're hearing gobbling. I mean, I'm not kidding. That the gobbler today probably gobbled over 200 times. It was ridiculous. I mean, I've never heard a turkey gobble that much. But we had to move around on him about 3 times before we got in the right place, and we could hear him going back to the west, and it's like, oh, he's going to that open wheat field. So we got a couple decoys put out, and he comes through the cottonwoods and evergreen trees, and he's 84 yards at that point. Now, this is reed shooting, so obviously we're not letting them shoot at 80 yards. And Reed's my nephew. I think he's 15. And he comes up along the fence line. Well, the fence line, there's a spot in it where it angles, and so we can't see him for a good 20 minutes or so. But we can hear him gobbling. And so it's really just, a waiting game. The hens come. We have hens 10 yards away from us, and I'm like, they're gonna see us. They're gonna spook, and luckily they did not. But finally, that gobbler, he pretty much followed that fence right up. And there's a bunch of trees along it that I could, see him on film, but it wasn't, clear enough for a shot. And then he finally came out in the open, and Reed shot. I had told him, hey, wait, I'll tell you when to kill him. He did not wait on me because the gobbler was in full strut, which I don't personally like shooting them in full strut. One, it smokes tail feathers. And I like, putting or yelping right before I shoot, get their head way up there. But Reed put a decent shot on him, and I think he was 18, 20 yards away. But this field has given him troubles. He missed a gobbler last year at like 35 yards. And I think he missed, and I'm not for sure, I can't remember. I think he missed another one on that property. So for whatever reason, this property has just not been kind to him. But he made up for it today. So that was, just, an awesome kind of recap to our trip, to be gone for all that time, then come home and, put Reed on a bird, and we got it all on video. I've spent part of today, getting that video put together. So, and that's what it's about for us is, hunting turkeys with friends and family. And, it's been a good week.
Yeah, it sounds like it. You just blew through your stories in about 7 minutes, and then Reed's story, you took 7 minutes. So we can tell how the camaraderie and hunting with family is more important to you, it sounds like.
Yeah, no, I tell you, I love shooting birds myself, but I also like calling birds in for other people, especially, my nephew. He's addicted to hunting and turkey hunting. So, and then we just got some awesome footage. Mm-hmm. It's a little bit harder in Alabama because you have so many trees, and not, at least where we were hunting, there weren't a ton of open fields. In Kansas, it's a little bit easier to get, good footage like that. So
that's awesome,
yep.
Man. I want to take it back to Osceola land real quick. Yeah. What is the big hype of Osceola hunting? Like, is there any difference in it other than being in palm trees? Like, what is the deal? Why everybody is like, I gotta kill an Osceola?
One, I think part of it is that's the only place that you can kill that bird.
Right.
If you switch roles of an Osceola and an Eastern, then Osceola wouldn't be a big deal, and the Eastern is the one everyone would want to kill. So I think it's just the scarcity. They're just known to be call shy and tough birds to kill. The other thing I like about them is just the color. There's a super deep bronze that when the sun catches them, and it's not like the other birds. They're a lot darker. The wings are a lot darker. They can have some really good hooks on them. They're not big birds, I think. They range from between 16 to 18 pounds. And that's, obviously not a big bird for Kansas. It's not a big bird for most of the states, upper Midwest and Northeast. It's not a very big bird.
We shoot jakes that size.
Yeah, right. Right. Their hens look like the size of our pheasants. It's crazy how small they are compared to some of the birds that we hunt here in Kansas, Missouri, places like that. So I don't know. They're just a cool bird. I really have grown to enjoy Florida. Just the terrain, you've got orange groves there. You've got big pine groves. You've got palm trees and stuff like that. I don't know. It's just, there's really no other place that I know of like it. So
just another element to add to it, right?
Yeah, for sure. For sure. It just feels different when you're down there too. I don't know what it is, what causes that, but
the Black Panthers.
maybe. The alligators,
There's a lot of things that will kill you there. Probably have something to do.
The pythons. I mean, you got a lot of nasty animals down there that don't like people.
You're not the only one hunting in those woods.
Now
I can promise you that.
That's right.
Now we know why you left the bow at home and decided to bring the 3.5-inch 12.
He started thinking about it.
Yeah.
Sadie's snake loads.
That's right. I would definitely waste one of those on a big snake for sure.
I can see it now. Them filming, giant python comes by, he shoots, and the guy's like, "What the heck did you just do?" He goes, "You didn't see the python?"
I would definitely smoke a python. That would be awesome.
He'd have it mounted behind him in his office.
Exactly. Exactly.
I can see it now. Well, Josh, we really appreciate you joining us on the Tailgate, man. It's good to hear about the season and what do you got coming on? What other states you have that you're chasing?
Yeah, so Kansas opens up fully on Wednesday. We've got South Dakota. We head for South Dakota on Sunday. And then I get home, I think, on Wednesday, and then on Thursday I fly to Tennessee to hunt with the Cruiser Saddle Boys.
Oh, nice.
Yep. And then we may try to sneak into Kentucky for a couple days. It just depends on how quick we kill there. Because Illinois is the following week. We got a 5th season tag in Illinois. And so I think we come home from Illinois, and our buddies in Illinois are going to follow us, and we're going to hit Kansas for them, and then Nebraska. And then we've got, I think after that, I've got to fit Missouri in there somewhere. And then Pennsylvania and Maryland.
Ooh, you're going to finish up there, huh?
I'm hoping we can squeeze that in because I do have a bear hunt up in Alaska.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's
a brown
coming.
Bear at the end of May. So I'm running out of weekends to do other stuff. Jeez. At some point, I got to get some of our food plot stuff done, for whitetails. So.
Well, selfish question I got for you is the honey-do list. Did you do that before turkey season, or is it just stacking up for you for when you when you get done?
It's probably stacking up for me. I will say my wife, Brittany, she is very understanding. She's been awesome. I don't know that I'll stack this many states up again. That was probably a mistake on my part. But for this season, I mean, we've talked through it and we're all good to go. And she is going to come on some of these hunts. She's going to, obviously, we're going to try to get her a Kansas gobbler. She's coming to South Dakota with us. She's got tags for up there. She's got a tag for Illinois. So she is going to get in on some of the action. So, but I would assume my list is very long right now.
And well-deserved, though.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I've got all of July to do that.
That's right. That's what July's for. Yep. The summer. Well, yeah. Josh, we appreciate you joining us here on the Tailgate, man. It's always fun. We always love having you, and I think that they'll probably hear your voice after you kill that giant brown bear. And that will be. We're looking forward to that. We've been looking forward to that. That's going to be a good one.
When is this Memorial Day week? Week of Memorial Day, end of May.
That's roughly when I leave.
Cool.
To head up there. Yep.
Sweet.
Awesome, Josh, man. The best of luck on the rest of the turkey tour, and for everybody else, thanks for taking the ride right here on the Outdoor Drive.